Welcome to the very first episode of the Reconstructed Man Podcast. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be able to say that. It's been a long time coming. My name is Layne Ingram, and that other dashing debonair gent is Daniel Thurman, and we are your hosts. Today's an exciting day for a number of reasons. One, we're launching this podcast, and like I said, it's been a long time coming. Daniel and I have known each other for years, and we've been talking about this over the last year. Just how can we make an impact? How can we make a difference? How can we tell our stories? How can we share stories, right? How can we learn? How can we help our community, right? And so that's something I'm excited about. Mm-hmm. It's also exciting because we're just around the corner from the election, the 2020 election, and this year there's a lot riding on it, and there's so much going on. But before I keep going too far, I want you to meet Daniel Thurman, who is a great guy.
Oh, thanks, Layne. Appreciate it. And so excited to be here. Layne and I have been talking about this idea for a while. And a lot of it came through just trying to figure out a space to create for others that are like us or others that have the need to just come to a place and be authentic or figure out what that even means to themselves. And so this has just been something that developed over time. And selfishly, it was a way for us to connect with each other. We're in the middle of COVID. We can't see many people. We can't hug many people. And we were in a distance away. And so this was a great way for us just to be able to start to reconnect, and that's just been awesome. So I'm excited to meet more folks through this process and see what this is really going to turn out to be. It's partly a work in progress, and we're hoping that your input and your participation in this is really going to shape what it's going to be. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it back over to Layne so we can really start to talk about what is the Reconstructed Man, what are we doing here, and what are we hoping that we can create for others.
Right. I was thinking to myself, the other main thing is that this is going to be fun, right? Mm-hmm. So you said selfishly, we're friends. We don't get to hang out. I wouldn't be hugging you anyway, but you don't get to hang out. But the thing is that I do like Daniel and he likes me, right? For the most part. and but we have different experiences. Yeah. And so the name, the Reconstructed Man, we're both reconstructed men, and that means the same thing to us in some cases, and it means different things to us in others. And I think the things that we agree on, the things we disagree on, the things that we see differently, I think are important things to bring, to share. So also you have more patience than I do. So I think we'll
test that.
I think that'll show its head at some point in this show, but I think it's going to be important to talk about how we came to be and how our environments and society shapes those things and how we move forward, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's probably important to note to the audience right now that part of being a reconstructed man to both of us is having the identity of being a trans man. Both identifying as men, but being born biological as female, and in all of the different lenses that we have because of that experience and that we are newly developing right now by, I've transitioned for over 20 years and you're kind of new to it within the past, was it 4 or 5 years, right? So like very, very different perspectives, but very similar experiences in the same respect. So that's really interesting. But I think there's also this other side or this additional piece to us looking at being reconstructed men is this idea of challenging ourselves and what manhood and masculinity means, or what did it mean maybe a couple of years ago or prior to certain experiences, and what does it mean to us now, and what is it going to mean to us in a couple of years, and how that fluctuates, and the importance of us being able to talk about that with ourselves, to each other, as friends, to our partners, to our family, to our community. And there's just so much need, I think, not just for us, for you and I, but for our society to really start to unpack what manhood and being a man is or could be, maybe should be, right?
Well, and for me and probably you and for lots of other trans guys out there, I mean, that is a cornerstone of how you go about your day, right? Is what you're not what you're supposed to be like, but one, what you hoped to be, I think for me, how I hoped I was going to turn out, and that's on the physical side. And then my insides matching my outsides. How do those come together? And then how does it fit with what society expects out of a man?
Right.
And then where am I actually at? Where do I actually intersect that? I mean, that is, we talk about spectrums of, the LGBTQIA community, right? I mean,
Right.
I'd say there's a masculinity spectrum, big time.
Certainly.
And what's unfortunate about that is you can't be too far one way or the other, I mean, it's so.
Well, you can be, right? There's just certain,
No, I mean, you should be able to be.
right.
It's not,
right.
you can't be positively sorry.
Yeah, or not without having some type of societal pushback, and I think that's a large part of where we're at today, and in our society, and in many societies, of kind of a reconfiguration of what it means to be a man, a woman, a gay person, a cis person. Even we're trying to, I guess this could go on for a while, right? As far as like the different identities that we all inhabit, the different sets of privileges that come with those, and the challenges that we have in recognizing those parts in ourselves or being those parts in society, because they're assigned certain things, and some of those things are negative. But I think we are finally at a point, through a lot of work from past generations, of really trying to question that and get past what other people expect of us, of really trying to be more authentic. And I don't know if this show would have been possible 10 years ago. I really don't, so I think today we are at a point where people that have felt the inability to be themselves are starting to break out of that mold or break out of those expectations. And then there's a whole host of younger people that are coming up, which is awesome to see, that they wouldn't even bat an eye at you and I, right? That like sometimes I'll come out to younger people and they're like, yeah, like it's no big thing, right? So it's just a really interesting time, and I think it's an important time for us to, create space for that. And hopefully the show is one possible avenue and location for people to come and have conversations.
I agree. I mean, I think the other part of it is telling our stories. A big piece for me is making sure that I use my experiences to help somebody else. You mentioned that I'm newer into the transition process. I mean, I am. I'm on 3.5 years since first starting, and it feels like a lot longer, but I was able to do that. I was in a great relationship. I had, insurance. I had support around me. And a lot of people can't do that. And I did it when I was 36, which to me feels late,
Right.
But I think for people who can't do it yet, aren't in a position where they can, or aren't sure, or are scared, or whatever, right? Like, it does get better. And so that's important to me, right? So that people see there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to come out the other side. And, if that's a decision that you make that you're going to transition, you'll be all right. You can be. Right. And I want to show that you can be all right, and you can be exactly who you are, and demand that people respect that, and walk around feeling okay to be you.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're a terrific model for that. I think that your story, when you share with people, is really powerful. And you've always been a spokesperson since you started this process and this transition. So I think that, you're going to do a great job, whether it's here on this podcast or just in your community, by being an example to people. And it's tough, right? Like, we both came from the same situation where there was a lot of issues without being able to be who we felt that we were physically, right? And so I think there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with identity issues and not being able to fully be themselves. And I hope this is a place that people can turn to for an example of what it could look like, that there is hope, like you said. And we hope to be also a place for resources. We're going to have a lot of great conversations this season, and as far as we go with this podcast, of really trying to introduce folks that might be in similar situations to the resources that are out there, opportunities that are out there, different stories from other people that we're going to bring on the show. So, hopefully, if at the least, it's that for folks. And I think we're both committed to being able to create that. And then we're just going to have fun too. So I'm looking forward to that.
Agreed. So today we're talking about masculinity and what it means to be a man to us, right?
Right.
And we'll see where that takes us. I mean, what does it mean to be a man to you?
That's going to take this whole season to probably unpack. I don't know. It keeps changing. For me, I think it was very physical my whole life. I knew from my earliest memories, I just knew that I knew I was a boy, and it was somewhat allowed growing up, and then the other half of my time growing up, it wasn't. So it was very, back and forth, and it wasn't confusing. It was just really hard for me. But I was just really always chasing the physicality of being a man. And I think once I arrived there in my very early 20s, I started to question all of the things that kind of came with being a man, which was, an excess of privilege that felt really uncomfortable, identifying always as a marginalized person. And my closest connections in life were LGBTQ friends, family, minorities, and then all of a sudden to have this power and privilege of being identified as a white male was incredibly disturbing, still is. And so I keep trying to find ways to understand masculinity as I'm coming into it, understand the hormones that are in my body, the things that come with that, and how can we challenge ourselves with those so we can be better people in society, right? There's a need for masculinity. There's a balance in society and in community and humanity. But I think it's a little bit off kilter right now in our society. And so how can I be aware of myself and what I input into it and help other people do that? So it kind of feels like a lot right now in life to do that.
Yeah.
How about you?
Geez, that was a lot. I mean, I think when I think about what I was asking, I didn't know we were getting into episode 4 content,
I told you.
I think when I think about what it means to be a man, kind of in a more general overall sense of, when I was going through when I was thinking about transitioning, right, and I thought about who I was, I haven't changed very much. Right. The person that I am, the way that I behave, the way that I interact with people, on a personal level. Right. You have to change things about the way you interact, the way that you can come off more aggressively. Sure. But when I think of a man, I think you think of the regular society constructs, right? Like, so strength, authority, power. I think of automatically being a gentleman. And so there's parts of me that really likes the traditional manness that I think with, right? Like, I love that I like to open the door for my wife. I love that if somebody's going to come date one of my daughters, like, you come up to the door and you come meet me. Like, right, I want them to see how they should be treated, right? I mean, I like that traditional part of me. I also recognize that that's not all of it, that there's that it's okay to change, that it's okay to not be strong all the time. It's okay to lean on other people. And I think my past experiences, my past life is what I like to call it, helps me to keep that in focus. It's not like I was a super sensitive person, but
I would disagree. I think you're incredibly sensitive.
Okay, so sensitive can be a few different things. When I say sensitive, that maybe wasn't the right word. I'm not touchy feely, super emotional, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, sensitive in that way, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm not gonna
Okay.
cry all the time. I am sensitive. I am. You can hurt my feelings, fine. Um, but I mean, I think all of that stuff is okay. And for me, I think because I was okay with who I was before in terms of the inside,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm I'm okay bringing that over to this side.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. There's insecurity with it, because if I react to this in the way that I want to react to it, somebody gonna look and be like, "Well, that's not manly," especially if they know that I'm trans.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a space when people don't know that you're trans,
Mm-hmm.
I find that to be the most liberating and freeing of them all, because regardless of how I react, you're seeing a black man react.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas, somebody that might have known me before could judge it differently,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that brings up a whole other, probably an episode about passing. And, I've been trying to wrap my head around this whole concept of passing for a while, because as a trans person, that's typically all we want. Like, that's successful.
Yeah.
That is the ideal, that makes us feel better in our own skin. But I think it's dangerous because we become hidden minorities. And
It's a trap.
it's absolutely a trap, right? And so I've been spending some time in the past couple of years trying to figure out, how do I become out? And that brought a whole other level of acceptance of being comfortable being trans. Not I'm comfortable being a man, or safe now being a man, but I want to actually feel pride and security and strength in being trans. And that took a lot of modeling from other people. It took people that I was looking up to be able to give me that. So yeah, a whole other. That's
That's
episode
like,
5.
though, I'm glad you said that, though. I mean, I do feel like it's a trap, because it is. It's like, God, you know, yes, I would want everybody to just see me just like this, and to know, right? If you were walking past me, like, just another guy, right? Like, that's what you want.
Right.
But it's so important to be visible, right? And I can't, it's important to strike a balance. And that's what I try to do,
Yeah.
in the spaces where people know, great. In the spaces where they don't, it's certainly not a secret. I mean, there's a balance, and I try to make sure that the things that I'm involved in, the things that are going on in society, the places where I can have a voice, like, I try to make sure that I have a voice, that I make sure that I mention it. So in the off chance that somebody there needs to see somebody like me, and I think that there are lots of trans people probably who are stealth, or who have maybe transitioned and moved somewhere and are able to start a new life, and they're good. And, like, I think that's awesome. I don't fault you. I get it.
Sure.
I wasn't able to do that because I came out at home, and so, and I feel a responsibility to that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so true, and I think hopefully people will get to know your story more. And I mean, there's a lot of information out on the web right now, and that maybe we can post it on our website too at some point. Just the different ways that you came out publicly, because you were a star athlete, and the larger, city area that you grew up in knew you. And so when you came back home and transitioned, right, that was going to be pretty obvious. And so a fiasco. Yeah, absolutely. Totally right. And I remember having dinner with you, and probably more importantly, having drinks with you. And we were just talking about that, how you were going to negotiate it. And really quickly, I think you were like, I'm taking control of the narrative. And so you had airwaves because of different positions that you held. And you figured, you know what, I'm going to go out public with it before someone else takes it away from me. And that was powerful. It still is, right? That still replays itself within your community, within the sports community, the educational community, because you're part of higher ed. It's incredible. And it was a powerful way, I think, for you to own your story. But I appreciate at the same time that, you don't always have to be that. You don't always have to be out, because sometimes it feels good not to be.
I mean, I can't imagine that. I say to my wife all the time, we could not, I don't say this all the time. I have said
We'll edit
in
that
the
out.
past. But really, though, what if we move somewhere and started over? You know, like the concept of that. Like, what if we went to a new state where all they saw was this interracial couple and we just started our life? Like, what would it be like? And that is an enticing idea when you finally get to where you want it to be. And that's how I feel. And that's why, and we've had this conversation so many times, you know, and 36 isn't late. You know, whenever you decide to transition is the right time. Yeah. There's no time that's too late. So I know that in my rational mind, but as I look back and as I see, you know, more and more kids being so much more aware, and I see parents being more accepting, and I see more resources, yeah, I feel like 36 was late. And what, you know, where would I have been right now, right? If I could have gone through my 20s with my outside matching my inside, because that's powerful. I mean, when I had my top surgery, I told you, I mean, you guys don't know this because you don't know me very well. Maybe we'll show some pictures one day, but I've lost a lot of weight, and that is for a number of reasons. Testosterone can do that. But when I first had top surgery and I look at those pictures, like, I told you I would be walking around like this. I mean, you're just so proud. Like, are you kidding me right now? Right. And I wasn't even that good looking back then, guys. Okay. Like this guy now. Okay. Like, and this is 3 years in. Like, see me in 2. Right. Get to year 5. Kidding. Anyway, what else?
You've always been good looking. You were just a little prettier before. That's all.
How rude.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. And a lot of it's personal. You know, this is going to be Layne and I's playground to just probably have some conversations and get some stuff out. But we're really hoping to hear from our audience and our listeners, and you know, hear what you all are thinking, hear what you like to hear discussed, and we've got some ideas. But this is going to be collaborative. It's definitely going to be community based, and we'll see where we go with it. But that's probably the tip of the iceberg of, you throw the word out masculinity to Layne or Ryan, we could probably talk for hours. It's going to be a problem. So we're going to tighten ourselves up, and we're going to have some specific episodes and see where it goes. But anything else on this topic? We didn't
even talk about the word reconstructed. There's levels. There's levels to this. There's pieces to this. There's layers. I mean, it's like I think it's interesting, and I think society, I think families, I think it all plays a piece, and it's super personal to me. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I'm excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
So what else are we going to talk about in this show, you think?
You want to talk about Reconstructed? We kind of touched on it.
This show.
Oh, the bigger show, the overall show. Capital S show. I understand.
Correct.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about a lot of topics. First season, we're not starting slow. Actually, next week is going to be election night. So we will be broadcasting. I don't know if it's going to be live. We said we're going to try to make it live. We'll see what we can do, but we're going to be at least airing our show or recording our show on election night. We think it's a pretty big night, and I just need someone to drink with. So we're gonna Is
this that kind of show? Like this is a drinking show?
Next Tuesday is going to be a drinking show. I'm just going to.
We're grown.
We're grown. Yeah, it's appropriate. Yeah. You know, I mean, if I start slurring, we'll cut. But hey, it won't get that bad. But yeah, fine. So we're gonna talk to each other and make it all right that night. So we'll see what happens. But that's going to be a big night, and we'll probably be talking a lot about politics and talking a lot about what this potentially means and what it's meant for the past 4 years. All sorts of things. So that's coming up next episode. And then we're going to be talking about different things. We're going to be talking about pronouns. We're going to be talking about hormones and puberty. Layne's going to describe puberty as a 39-year-old, which is fascinating, right? Maybe your wife will want to talk about puberty with a trans man. We're going to be talking about family and religion and all the juicy topics. And see where that goes. We're also going to be doing product reviews. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that at all, but that's going to be exciting.
I know. I'm excited about the product reviews, and we're going to do all kinds. So I'm not shy.
Right. I am.
I wish somebody, I'm not. I wish somebody would have showed me some stuff. You know, it's if you want to know about a product, I'll tell you about it. Send it to me. I'll tell you about it.
Yeah.
Daniel will be all shy. His face will get all red.
That's true.
But yeah, this is exciting. A labor of love, but something that's important to us, and is going to help us grow our friendship, and also, you know, hopefully make a difference and give some good information. So if you want to get in touch with us, send us an email at layneanddaniel@gmail.com.
Not Daniel and Layne.
I tried to get Daniel and Layne. It was gone. I don't know who those people are, but it was gone. Like, you can try to find it. I tried first. D is before L.
I'm going to try.
I know the alphabet.
See how much they'll.
Email them and ask if we can have it.
For that. Okay, I will. I'll pay for it.
It's layneanddaniel@gmail.com.
Layne and Daniel, not in alphabetical order, and not necessarily in importance, but just layneanddaniel@gmail.com. Yeah. So talk to us. Reach out. Let us know what you're thinking, what you want to hear about, and we look forward to meeting you.
Even how we did. I'm into that. I want to know.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that too. Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited.
Well, good. So we're back next week, election night. Then every week after that, we hope. And yeah, this was fun. Good stuff.
Yeah. And we should mention too, so if you're on the show and you don't happen to be trans and you don't know this, but November is Trans Awareness Month. And so we're going to be trying to get our episodes out for you in time for that. So please share this with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your coworkers. This is going to be a fun time, but hopefully an informative time and hopefully a healing time as well. So we look forward to the season with you all, and take care. We will see you all next week. Layne, I will see you next week.
See you later.
All right. Peace.